you guys with your special powers of ice breath and south-of-the-border rodent speech. Well, I want to know what my special power is, and we're not leaving until I find out what it is!
But, Buttercup, you do that thing. Wait, you're right. You don't have a special power.
We all know the origins of the Powerpuff Girls. You know, the whole sugar, spice, everything nice thing. Those very ingredients just so happen to make the perfect little girls. But what we don't talk about nearly enough is just how often the opposite happens. You know, when not all the right ingredients are being used, when they are cheaply made and overproduced, when the creator just doesn't have the right intentions. Whatever the case may be, there's been many attempts at replicating what Professor Utonium had done. And as a result, we've gotten many different versions of the girls. Some have come close to the originals, others not so much. Some not girls, and even ones that are not human. Throughout all the attempts, none of them could perfect what was done. None of them were like looking into a reflection. So what happens when our girls actually have a mirror held up to them, and what they see isn't themselves? We'd soon find out. Released on July 1st of 2004, DC Comics would publish their Powerpuff Girls 50th issue special, titled The Powerpuff Girls Deja Vu. The comic would open on what would usually be a normal day for the girls. They would spend the afternoon cleaning up their room so that they could get their allowances. Blossom finishes her dusting, Buttercup wraps up her vacuuming, yet Bubbles is still cleaning the mirror. There's a spot on the glass that just won't come off. Buttercup, as impatient as she is, stresses that Bubbles put some elbow grease in it, which Bubbles thinks is gross, but with a little bit more hard scrubbing, the spot had disappeared. In fact, the whole mirror disappeared, and what stood in front of them now was a portal. Now you would think that this would be the appropriate time for them to go and tell the professor what's going on. Nope, Buttercup touched it, which led the girls to be pulled to a completely alternate dimension. The girls would end up being transferred to a room that was completely similar to their own, except for the fact that the plushies now have frowny faces on them. And Blossom picks up the fact that they're in an alternate reality fairly quick. And before her sisters could start to freak out, she assures them not to worry because Professor is the smartest man ever. Surely he'll take care of it. Great balls of fire! A vortex leading to a parallel universe of some sort! I've got to do something! Well, that takes care of that. Our girls start to hear stomping and very loud noises coming from outside, so they rush to investigate. And they would see none other than Mojo Jojo in a very giant mech suit heading their way. Or so they think. They effortlessly tear his mech apart and were about to apprehend their old foe, when they see that he is definitely Mojo Jojo, just not the one that they know. This Mojo Jojo wears an orange and green suit with the giant J on his chest and has a Superman cleft chin. Because let's face it, he wouldn't be a superhero without the booty crack chin. Anyways, the girls look at him and are puzzled by what they see. So Mojo takes advantage of the situation and shoots the girls. Meanwhile, in our main universe, Professor Utonium informs the girls of what he saw in their room. And then he sees that these aren't actually his girls, as they are wearing spiked belts, different bows, and altered haircuts. But before he could even address their differences, the Powerpunk girls would hear a monster attacking the city. The Powerpunk girls would rush to the city's aid and quickly put an end to the monster's terror, which would put the city of Townsville at ease. For about 2 seconds. Turns out the Powerpunk girls weren't saving the city, they just wanted to be the ones to destroy it. They start throwing cars with people in them, lasering buildings, punching down skyscrapers, all while the city fled without its saviors. Back in the alternate universe, keep up with me here, the girls, our girls, are being interrogated by Jomo Momo, who assumes they are the Powerpunk girls. But Blossom's effortless kindness throws Jomo off. It can't possibly be the Powerpunk girls if they're using phrases like, "Excuse me." So Jomo gives them the ultimate test. The test that would decide their fate. The test that would decide the fate of Townsville.
There is a cuddly little kitten stranded in a tree. So you A. Rob a nearby bank. B. Eat the kitten, then rob a nearby bank. C. Rescue the kitten.
The girls unanimously yell C, and Jomo realizes that they are telling the truth. So after explaining everything off panel, of course, the girls just express their want to leave. But Jomo stresses that they can't, because with them here, they'd be able to protect the city of Vilesville like he never could. They could finally put a stop to Oppressor Utonium. Bubbles and Buttercup both argue that they want to go home, and their own town needs them. But Blossom agrees to stay because the Powerpuff Girls help whoever is in need, and Vilesville is in need. And besides, how bad could things be in Townsville? After successfully distracting the oppressor, he opens fire on Bubbles, but is ultimately bonged in the head by Jomo, saving the day. So, Jomo gets the smartest scientist that he knows to build a portal and send them back. Back through the portal they go, and the day is finally saved. Or so they thought, because Townsville was in ruins, and the ones responsible were their alternate selves, the Powerpunk Girls. Our girls quickly try to use their heat vision to defeat the punks, but it does nothing to them. The punks then beat our girls into a corner, and all hope is looking lost. The punks charged up and were headed straight for the girls, but Blossom has a plan. They stood in front of the portal and waited for the Powerpunks to end it. So the punks charge straight for the girls, and they move out of the way in the last minute, causing the punks to go through the portal and get sent back to Vilesville.
Up on the mountain, I'll be counting days till we meet again.
And that will be the last they'd see of the Powerpunk Girls. And unfortunately, the last we get to see of them as well. Despite fans loving this distorted version of the Powerpuff Girls, like many other one-off villains, they wouldn't return. Supposedly this was going to be an episode that would have went more into depth about the Powerpunk Girls and how they live. I really wish that did happen because I really do want to know more about them. I want to know more about the relationship with their professor. I want to know if they can be redeemed or if they're too far off the end. I mean, we see that they don't have a good relationship with their professor, but unfortunately, that never came into fruition. I want to know if they're really bad people or if they're just a product of an evil professor who didn't care to raise them right. It would have been really cool to see more opposite characters too. I wonder if these girls tried to make their own version of Bunny. Who knows? Kinda feels like a missed opportunity. Maybe one day we'll see the return of this rambunctious group of girls. But for now, we'll just have to appreciate what we got. And what we got was a pretty awesome comic.